ever heard shop local?
Yes.
Yes.
Me too. I just never really understood like the meaning behind it. So, and like why it was such a big deal. So I'm from a small town. There's about 5,000 people in my town. I graduated with like 60. Kansas City was about 2 hours away, and Columbia was about an hour and a half. So we didn't really have a whole lot of options. Like we had like a McDonald's, a Subway, those kinds of things, but we had a lot more local restaurants, and my dad owns a vet clinic, so he was a local business owner. And so it's always kind of like had an effect on my life and how I see things differently. So shopping local is a very like, there's a lot of benefits to it, but it's nothing you can really see like with your own eyes. I call them like blind benefits because like it happens over time. So that's just something to think of too. So we're going to talk about the problem, what it is, and what like benefits there are, and what we can do to help. All right, so we know buying local is important, but how does it affect things like the economy, the environment, and the community? So in Warrensburg, there's plenty of places to have to shop at local businesses. You have Old Barney's, you have Cafe Blackadder, which that restaurant even gets local produce from like farms around town. So here in Warrensburg, we're fortunate enough to have a lot of those opportunities, and it's important that we give them money. And you'll find out later why. So in an academic article from Michigan State University called Why Buy Local, Nandy Robinson quoted a book that says, going local doesn't mean walling off the outside world. It means nurturing local-owned businesses which use local resources, sustainability, and employ local workers at decent wages. So like David was talking about, the minimum wage for like corporate companies changes all the time, but in smaller businesses, those people take care of their people because the money that they make goes back into their community. And then another article by Key Studies, Why Local Matters, from their website, Institute Self-Reliance, by Stacey Mitchell stated, the study finds chains that are not always a bargain. So McDonald's, you can get a burger for $1, and at Old Barney's, you can get a burger for $8 or whatever it is. Granted, the quality is different, but that money goes to more community things and that kind of thing. So here is like the locally owned businesses. So $73 of $100 stays within the like local economy, and then $27 leaves that. But as for a non-locally owned business, $43 stay in the local economy and $57 leave. So that's just a good representation to show you how much stays in the economy. So whenever you're thinking of like a business that's not locally owned, there's a lot of travel that's involved. There's planes, there's trains, all kinds of things. So that means pollution. Whenever there's a locally owned business, they don't usually have to travel as far, and so less pollution is happening. So the website Go Green put out an article in 2017 called Environmental Benefits of Buying Locally by A. Thompson stated, by cutting down all these miles, you are reducing environmental impact of your food. Local doesn't create large carbon footprints through overseas plane travel or long truck trips. So that cut down the fuel consequences and air pollution. So that's a major effect on the environment. Next thing is job rates. Like I mentioned earlier, jobs, those people, a lot of people in the community work for those places and they treat them better. So you're giving people jobs and that money is staying where it is. So in the article, Buying Local, How It Boosts the Economy, states, after all, big box stores got to be big because prices were low, differences falls once you consider increased local employees and relationships that grow when people buy from who they know. Small businesses, if you guys are ever familiar with them, it's all about the relationships that you have with people that makes them want to come back. And also, like customer service, I also found that customer service is a bigger deal whenever you're doing small businesses because they don't just have a whole lot of money to fall back on. And then Article 6, next is community, which I've kind of mentioned throughout this whole speech because I think that's probably one of the most important ones. Community from supporting local entrepreneurs. From the entrepreneur website, John Ransom mentioned many ways it can help the community. One, the people behind the product, like I mentioned, the relationships. And then, like in my town, I know like all the business owners in all the small businesses. So I've grown a relationship with them and they know that I will be back, type of thing. Also, keeping your community unique. Warrensburg is a great example. Think about if every small business on Pine Street was gone. So that makes Warrensburg what it is. And without that, we'd have a Mazio's and a McDonald's. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot more to that. And then better and personalized service. For example, my dad, he's a vet and he owns a vet clinic, and they have a employee appreciation day. And so they make burgers and hot dogs, and for 3 hours they have like just any of their customers come in and do raffles and all that kinds of stuff, and it's free to them because they give them so much throughout the year that they always give back. So that's another prime example of personalized service and that kind of thing. And most of the people in town have my dad's phone number, so they can call him anytime too. So what can we as citizens do to help? Buying local, obviously, the whole point of this speech, and thinking before you buy. We obviously need small businesses for all the things I just mentioned, but now that like you're more familiar with it and I'm more familiar with it, I will be thinking like before I buy something of like, where will this money go? Will it go back to this community? Like, type of thing. Also, think economy, environment, and community. Like I said, the 3 things that I've been mentioning this whole time. So with all that being said, if everyone does their part, those issues will slowly improve, but you won't be able to see those issues right away. So shopping local is a choice, and many times, like Walmart or groceries, we don't really have a whole lot of options to do that here. So just whenever you can, just try your best to find that and shop local. So over the time, these issues will decrease, I promise. But I challenge you the next time you eat out to think whether or not this is a local business and where this money is going to, or whether you're giving money out to the rest of the purple part, the supplies. Thank you.